Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and it's time to grab a tuna sandwich, no crust, because Fast X is almost here. And listen, there are 9 movies in the Fast and Furious saga, 10 if you count Hobbs and Shaw, which I absolutely do. You might not have had time in your busy life to sit down and watch 25 hours of hot babes, fast cars, and familial bonding, but I have. So today, I'm taking you a quarter mile at a time through a quick and dirty recap of the Fast and the Furious franchise to make sure you're revved up for Fast X. The Fast and the Furious made its debut in 2001 and introduces us to LAPD officer Brian O'Connor, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed angel with a hatred of speed limits and a hankering for tuna.
Well, no one likes a tuna here. Yeah, well, I do.
The FBI sends him undercover to investigate a heist ring of Honda Civics seen robbing a bunch of semi-trucks for valuable electronics. If you want to feel old, yes, they were stealing Panasonic televisions with VCR and DVD capabilities. After earning the respect of Vin Diesel's Dominic Torretto in a street race, Brian successfully infiltrates the fastest family to ever grace the silver screen. This crew, that will one day be future super spies, is comprised of auto mechanic and born leader Dominic Torretto, his sweet younger sister Mia, his rough and tumble ride-or-die Letty Ortiz, the egotistical Vince, some guy named Leon who you do not need to commit to memory, and Jesse, a boy genius who unfortunately gets killed by a rival street racing gang. While undercover gathering intel on Dom's crew, Brian falls in love with Mia and the thrill of the race. When he learns that the semi-truck drivers are armed with shotguns ready to defend their Radio Shack shipment at all costs, Brian comes clean to Mia and convinces her to help him save Dom and his crew. When Vince is shot by one of the drivers, Brian is forced to blow his cover when he calls in emergency backup to save his life. Dom and Brian race one last time to see who's a better driver. And although both of them narrowly miss getting pancaked by a train, Brian wins. Out of respect, Brian gives Dom his car keys, fulfilling the promise he made after their first race to give him a 10-second car. And Dom escapes to Baja California and Mexico. Too Fast, Too Furious follows Brian O'Connor's journey after obviously getting fired from law enforcement for letting a career criminal use his car to escape. He and Ludacris's Tej run illegal street races out of Miami, but when they're caught, Brian's former colleague at the FBI presents him with a deal. He'll clear Brian's criminal record if he goes undercover again to help them bring down drug lord Carter Verone. Brian enlists his childhood bestie Roman Pierce to help him in exchange for the same deal with Johnny Law. Agent Monica Fuentes has been undercover with Verone for a year, and she helps them gain her boss's trust from the inside. Although she warns both Customs and the FBI that Verone will kill Roman and Brian once he's successfully smuggled his money away on a private jet, the agents refuse to call off the mission. Instead of going to the airfield, however, Verone's men, along with Brian and Roman, are instructed to transport his duffel bags of money to a marina. Surprise! Verone knew that Monica was an FBI agent the whole time, and he double-crossed her. As he attempts to flee on his private yacht, the Fast Boys launch their car onto Verone's getaway boat, squishing it and saving Monica's life. With their records cleared, Brian and Roman decide to take the money that Roman stole from Verone and open a garage in Miami together. Like any real Fast fan knows, we're moving on to Fast and Furious, the 4th installment of the franchise, and the next chronological sequence of the saga. We'll come back to Tokyo Drift when the timeline's ready. Dom and his crew are still on the run from the law, and now have a few new additions. Han, an expert drifter, Tego and Rico, a frickin' frack duo, and Kara, the sister of Cardi B's F9 character Lisa. This crew has a gig hijacking fuel tankers in the Dominican Republic, but after a heist goes sour, Han tells Dom that the cops are on their tails, so the crew splits up. Dom leaves Letty behind in order to protect her, and a few months later he gets a call from Mia informing him that the love of his life was killed in a car accident. Meanwhile, Brian O'Connor is searching for drug lord Arturo Braga. While the FBI secures a spot for Brian in a street race to get him closer to the criminals, Dom rolls up ready to race his old friend for a spot in Braga's crew. After finding nitromethane at the scene of Letty's accident, Dom also discovered that Braga might have been behind her death as well. Braga's associate Giselle Yashar informs the drivers that the winner will help Braga transport heroin across the Mexican border through a series of tunnels. During their mission, Dominic learns that all of the drivers are killed after making their drops, and that Letty was taken out after she discovered what was happening and fought back. Turns out that she was working undercover for the FBI alongside Brian in order to clear Dom's name, hoping that he would return to her once the threat of jail time was eliminated. When the cops kick Brian off the case, he and Dom go rogue to finally fight and capture Braga. who is promptly arrested when they drag him back to the USA. Although they managed to bring Braga to justice, Dominic's name still hasn't been cleared. He's sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, but as the bus drives him towards the slammer, his family shows up to rescue him. In Fast 5, Dom, Mia, and Brian flee to Rio de Janeiro, where Vince hooks them up with a job stealing cars from a moving train. The car that Mia drives off in belongs to drug lord Hernan Reyes, and has a computer chip detailing the locations of his money stashes. Dom and Brian are captured by Reyes' hitman Zizi, who kills a bunch of DEA agents in the process. In response to these deaths, the US's Diplomatic Security Service sends agents Luke Hobbs and Elena Neves to bring the family to justice, believing that they were responsible for these deaths. Luckily, the Fast Boys escape Reyes. In the aftermath, Dom suggests splitting up for their safety, but Mia announces that she's pregnant with Brian's child. With a new mouth to feed and all of the financial details of Reyes' criminal empire in their possession, the family agrees to do one last heist. The crew assembles some of their greatest allies: Han, Giselle, Rico and Tego, and Tej, who went from a hype man to a tech super genius since we last saw him. They also form an alliance with Hobbs and Elena under the guise of catching Reyes. Reyes has his money inside a vault inside of a corrupt police station. So the family steals some cop cars, attaches them to the vault, and yanks it straight out of the building, dragging it down the street like a wrecking ball. And this is where Fast X comes in. Just behind that safe, Dante Reyes, Hernan's son, was lurking this whole time. But when Dom and Brian wreaked havoc with the vault, Papa Reyes was killed, and Dante was flung into the drink. Now he's out to destroy the Torrettos and their extended family for slaying his father. To be fair to the family though, they also faced great loss in this heist. Poor Vince gets killed. But hey, the family successfully pulled a fast one on both Reyes and Hobbs, so now they're multi-millionaires. Plus, Dom is starting to move on from Letty's death with defective agent Elena. While Brian and Dom have their classic end-of-the-movie race, Hobbs receives a file on Letty, who is alive and well, regarding the hijacking of a military convoy in Berlin.
We made this video with the help of Geology, and with their help you can make your skin healthier than ever.
Geology is a 22-time award-winning skin, hair, and body care company recognized in Men's Health, Oprah Daily, Hypebeast, Birdie, Esquire, and GQ.
Their products are built around just a handful of powerful, proven ingredients that have been trusted by dermatologists for decades. Just take a quick 30-second diagnostic quiz, and Geology will create a simple and effective skincare or hair care routine customized just for you. Geology's co-wash and deodorant are great, and I use them all the time. But right now they're running a special offer for a skincare sampler pack, and Geology's skincare stuff is in a league of its own. Geology's line of skincare products can help you fight acne, reduce oiliness, prevent wrinkles, combat dark or puffy under eyes, have smoother, hydrated skin, and target signs of aging. There's never been a better time to try Geology than right now. For a very limited time, use code ROCKSTARS100 to get 100% off of your personalized 30-day skincare sample set. All you have to do is cover the $4.95 for shipping. On top of that, new Rockstars fans get an exclusive bonus offer of up to 50% off on an additional skin, hair, and body product of your choice when you add it to your trial. Click the link in the description or go to geolog.ie/rockstars100 to get started.
We're now at Fast 6, and the franchise has gone full spy thriller. Hobbs is investigating the destruction of a Russian military convoy, leading him to rogue British SAS major and special ops soldier Owen Shaw. Hobbs convinces Dom to rally the team, offering the families freedom if they succeed in stopping Shaw from using a technology called Nightshade, capable of shutting down all the power across the globe. To sweeten the pot, he also reveals that Letty is alive. When Dom catches up to her, it's clear by the shots she fires that she doesn't remember him. Although she survived her altercation with Braga's henchman Felix, she has no memory of her past life with Dom. Brian discovers that Shaw helped Braga build his criminal empire, and Tej tracks Shaw's next attack to a NATO base where he plans to attack the military convoy carrying the computer chip he needs for Nightshade. One tank battle, a mirror match, and a tough bruiser lady team swap later, Shaw's men have kidnapped Mia and hopped aboard an airplane. The family tries to stop it from taking off the best way they know how, by tying their cars to it and driving real fast. Brian rescues Mia, and Dom drives his Dodge Charger out of the plane before it explodes. But sadly, Giselle sacrifices her life to save Han from the blast. Back in LA, Elena and Dom break up, and Letty moves back into Casa del Torretto just in time for family dinner. But back in Tokyo, where Han has gone to mourn Giselle, Owen Shaw's younger brother Deckard kills Han in retaliation for his siblings' injuries, leaving Dom's cross necklace at the scene of the murder. Alright, now it's time for Tokyo Drift, which technically takes place here right before Deckard's arrival at the very end of Fast 6. Does it make sense? No, but this is the timeline. When high school student Sean Boswell gets in trouble for illegal street racing, he's sent to live with his dad in Tokyo to evade jail time. He's introduced to drift racing by his friend Twinkie, and Han ends up taking him under his wing and teaching him how to Tokyo drift. Unfortunately, Han is seemingly killed in an explosion caused by an accident with the Yakuza, but now we know that Deckard Shaw was behind his death the whole time. Whoa! In a post-credits scene, Dom shows up to race Sean, informing him that he and Han were family. Okay, now we gotta flash forward from 2006 to 2015 for Furious 7. Back in Los Angeles, Dom is still trying to help Letty regain her memories, and Brian is struggling to adjust to life as a minivan dad. We see Deckard break into Owen's hospital room where his brother is still in a coma. Next, he breaks into the DSS field office in LA to get info on the family. He detonates a bomb that injures Hobbs and sends a letter bomb to the Torretto house where it explodes. Dominic learns that Han is dead and travels to Tokyo, where we just saw him in the post-credits of Fast 3. After mourning Han and Giselle at their funerals, a government special ops team led by Mr. Nobody promises the family that their team will help them stop Shaw if they retrieve a computer program called God's Eye, which is capable of tracking a specific individual using anything on a digital network. He also asks them to save God's Eye's creator, Ramsey, from a terrorist named Mose Jakande. After airdropping their cars from the sky, they rescue Ramsey and head to Dubai, where Brian and Dom jump their cars between not 2, but 3 high-rise buildings to pick up God's Eye. The team tries to use God's Eye to track down Shaw, but Jakande's henchmen strike, taking it with them. When Dom heads off to fight Shaw alone, Mia tells Brian that she's pregnant again, and he vows to do whatever it takes to keep their family safe. Hobbs breaks out of the hospital to help them like this.
Daddy's gotta go to work.
While Ramsey hacks into God's Eye with Jakande in hot pursuit, Dom and Shaw face off on the roof of a parking garage. Dom collapses the structure and tries to crash his Dodge Charger into Jakande's helicopter. Although he fails, he does manage to toss a bag of grenades in there, which Hobbs shoots, causing an explosion. Shaw is arrested in the aftermath. Dom is knocked unconscious, but Letty wakes him up by finally remembering their wedding night. At the beach, the family realizes that Brian is finally happier with being a minivan dad than he is being a car racing international crime stopper, and they watch him play in the ocean with his pregnant wife and son. Brian and Dom race each other one last time while "It's been a long day without you, my friend" plays in the background of their friendship montage. R.I.P. Paul Walker, gone from this world but alive somewhere in a minivan in the FCU. Now let's get into Fate of the Furious. A mysterious woman named Cypher shows Dom some photos that convince him to betray the family and work for her cyber-terrorism ring instead. Mr. Nobody recruits Hobbs and Shaw to track down Dom and Cypher, and reveals that Cypher was also behind the Nightshade device and God's Eye. Dom steals God's Eye for Cypher, and she tells him that she's kidnapped Elena and the son he unknowingly fathered with her for collateral. This convinces him to steal a nuclear football to help Cypher start nuclear war, but he manages to sneak away to contact Deckard and Owen's mom, Queenie Shaw. He promises her son's freedom in exchange for her help rescuing his own son. After Cypher kills Elena to assert dominance, Dom helps her hack a nuclear submarine. But as soon as the Shaw brothers secure his kid, he turns on her and rejoins the family. Although they managed to prevent nuclear war, Mr. Nobody confirms that Cypher survived after parachuting out of a plane. At the end, Shaw is welcomed into the family, and Dom introduces the whole crew to his son, who he decided to name Brian. In a Fast Saga spin-off that's still all about family, Hobbs and Shaw team up to save Shaw's sister Hattie and stop a programmable supervirus called Snowflake from spreading across the globe. And while I don't think that there's gonna be a ton of references from this movie in Fast X, we were introduced to some interesting concepts that I think might come back. The villain Brixton Lore has basically the same powers as any MCU baddie, including superhuman strength, durability, speed, a bionic spine, ocular implants, and bulletproof prosthetic arms. Based on the constant ramp-up of tech in this franchise, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another villain with tricked-out body modifications in the future. The most important part of Hobbs and Shaw, however, is that Hobbs finally makes peace with his brother and enjoys retirement in Samoa, and Deckard and Hattie break their mom Queenie out of jail just in time for Fast 9. The last time we saw the Torrettos on the silver screen, we learned about Dominic, Mia, and their estranged brother Jacob's tragic past. In 1989, the patriarch of the family, Jack Torretto, was killed in an accident during one of his races down at the track. It turns out that Daddy Torretto was deep in with the sharks and asked Jacob to cut the wires on his car to ensure he'd lose the race in order to win some money. Not knowing why his brother tampered with their father's vehicle, Dom exiled Jacob from the family. In present day, 2 years after their battle with Cypher, Dom and Letty are raising little Brian off the grid when Roman, Tej, and Ramsey unexpectedly arrive with a mission. Mr. Nobody was able to find and arrest Cypher, but his plane was attacked by rogue agents who kidnapped her and blew up the aircraft. I never trust an off-screen death, which is why I'm so curious to see what they do with Brie Larson's character as his daughter. Is she here to avenge her dad's death? Was she part of it? Or is Mr. Nobody still alive and hiding somewhere? He said it himself. He's the master of making a fake-out death look real. Leaving little Brian with the O'Connors, Letty and Dom help the family investigate, and Dom discovers Jacob's involvement. The family learns that Han was also linked to Project Ares, a device capable of hacking into any computer-controlled system. They find Han alive in Tokyo, protecting a young girl named Elle, whose parents invented Project Ares. Mom and Dad sealed the dangerous device with their own DNA, making Elle the only key able to unlock it. When Jacob went rogue, Mr. Nobody helped Han fake his death and go into hiding in order to protect her. Jacob and his men steal Project Ares and force Elle to activate it, and his associates begin to upload it to a satellite in orbit so that they can hack into every single computer on the planet. Using a rocket car built by Sean and Twinkie from Tokyo Drift and their buddy Earl, Tej and Roman launch into space and nearly sacrifice their lives to destroy a satellite. Luckily, the folks at the International Space Station are able to give them a lift home, because why not? That totally happens all the time. Cypher convinces Jacob's partner to double-cross him, so Jacob flips back to Team Torretto once and for all. Although Cypher escapes, the only thing that matters is family, and Dom, Jacob, and Mia are finally together again at last. Mirroring what Brian did for him at the end of Fast 1, Dominic gives his brother his car keys, allowing him to escape. At the family barbecue back in Los Angeles, the team prepares to say grace. But just before little Brian kicks off his first prayer, Brian O'Connor's car pulls up in the driveway just in time for dinner. I'm curious to see how Fast X handles Paul Walker's character. Previously, his real-life brothers acted as his stand-ins, and the VFX team used deepfake tech to reconstruct his features. With the support of Walker's family, I wonder if they'd ever do something similar with AI in the days of future Fast. The mid-credits scene shows Han arriving at Shaw's place, seemingly to confront him and be like, "Bitch, I'm still alive." Based on the trailer, it looks like we're gonna pick up with these two right where this conversation leaves off. We've got a lot of loose ends from the previous Fast films that I'm dying to see come into play in Fast X. But hit me up in the comments and let me know what details you think might come back to haunt the Torretto family tree. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Whitney Puppy, follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love, and thanks for watching. Bye!